Hey y'all, it's Fang Picks Week Reads, and it's another day and another time for a review. So I had a day off yesterday, and I just decided to buckle down and read, finish reading a huge ass short story collection. And I'm really glad that I did because I enjoyed the hell out of it. So I finished reading Where the Last Light Dies by Damascus Mincemeyer. And Damascus, he is actually the illustrator behind the illustrations in my Nocturnal series. So you can see he is quite talented when it comes to drawing. And he also did the cover himself. Like this is his own cover, so he is amazing at drawing. But he's also pretty good writer. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoyed all of his stories. So what is Where the Last Light Dies about? According to the blurb, as I always do, there is a place at the end of every road, after each song has finished and all tales have been told, where the sun dims and the shadows take hold. Few who have ventured to that darkened realm return to tell what they witnessed, but in these 18 harrowing stories, those that have recount the horror and the hope, the desire and the despair that lies where the last light dies. So yeah, there are 18 short stories in this, and it's quite a big collection in my opinion. It's almost, it stops at 387 pages, which is a lot. Maybe not a lot. I'm not really sure. I haven't really read that many short story collections. I'm starting to do that more right now because I really enjoy reading short stories, and I'm also really enjoying writing them myself. So, if you want to go into like writing short stories yourself, I highly recommend that you go and buy a couple of short story collections, because that will help you gain a little bit of an insight of how some of these short stories work. And Damascus stories are really good. So he has, like I said, he has 18 short stories, and one is called One Morning at Breakfast, A Night at Fat Diablo's, Cold Edge, Getting to the Gig, Ad Majorem Satanae Gloriam, Hunter's Moon, The Thunder Heart, Hate the Flesh, Soil, Native and Otherwise, A Night at Satan's Palace, Riding Midnight's Racer, Aladdin's Laugh, Dead Man's Hustle, Theseus Damned, Braids Like Roots, The Tenderness of Thorns, and then there was The Word, and the last one, A Night at Shoggoth's Premiere. So, all in all these stories have like different thing going on. Like there's not much, the same thing happening, except for those 3 stories, which I highly enjoyed. They were so amusing. So the 3 stories, A Night at Fat Diablo's, A Night at Satan's Palace, and A Night at Shoggoth's Premiere, they all revolve around these 2 older gentlemen called Stuart and Bruce, and they're like, I think they're like hitting 60 or 70 or something like that, and they have like this, I think, really old old life crisis where they want to do like these weird stupid shit. And in the first story, A Night at Fat Diablo's, they go like on a motorcycle tour, and they go a little bit off road from where the tour is going. And I got this huge Wild Hogs vibes when I was reading it, and I laughed my ass off. It was so funny, but it doesn't shy away from the horror as well. I mean, it's like grotesque comedy, so it was super fun. And then they go in A Night at Satan Palace. They go to Las Vegas, and they go to this strip club, and they find some weird ass shit there as well. The poor guys can't catch a break. And lastly, the last story in the book is like A Night at Shoggoth's Premiere, and that happens in Los Angeles during like a movie premiere. And again, they are like, it's like this thing follows them wherever they go. And he Damascus mentioned that he might write like a short story collection with just them, and it would be so funny if it was like 12 Crazy Nights of Stuart and Bruce. So if you're watching this, Damascus, by all means write this, because it will be hilarious. I think a lot of people will enjoy this. This is like, yeah, like one reviewer also said, it's like grumpy old man meets horror, which is the best description I've ever known. So yes, I definitely want more of those guys. One of my favorite stories also was the Ad Majorem Satanae Gloriam. It was based like on real event, like I think the burning of London. And instead of, you know, that being like a tragic, natural, like a human thing that happened, Damascus decided to base this, like use satanic ritual, like use the rising of Satan in this kind of context. So you're just watching, you're following these two like one family that is trying to seek shelter from, you know, the rise of the underworld, where demons are coming and they're just torturing and slaughtering all the people around and burning all the churches and everything. And he really got the voice down to this, like even, you know, all the stories that he's written in this collection have a different voice to it, and you can definitely see and you can definitely feel it's not like the same person or like the same how should I say, character is in each of these stories, which I really appreciate, because you can definitely go into this and be immersed in the story when it has like this kind of different separation for it. And I might not be making a lot of sense, but I know I just got up and everything, but bear with me. It was really, really good. I mean, he managed to make like how he wrote it down, and he made it look like it was written like in 1898, which I really liked. And you can also, you felt this was, you know, it had like a British flair to it, you know, in the way that they talked. And I also noticed that in another one of his stories, which was called, what was it again? Dead Man's Hustle, which is also one of my favorites. It was so good. Dead Man's Hustle is about this guy who's a necromancer, or like a former necromancer. He doesn't really like it, and he lives in the hoods in Detroit. And he's got this job that he has to raise somebody back from the dead, and he's like, nah, man, I'm done with that shit. And the way he wrote it, listen to this. I'm gonna butcher. I'm gonna butcher the language. It's gonna be so bad. What's the best one? Okay, this one here. Okay, when this guy Tyrell is approaching Zeke, who is the necromancer, he is like trying to get him to raise his boss back from the dead, and Zeke is not having any of it. And Tyrell is like, damn, didn't you hear nothing I just said? Tyrell asked. The whole damn hood gonna bleed out ugly. Again, I'm probably gonna butcher this because, you know, I'm a white girl from Iceland. It doesn't help at all. But how he wrote it, I immediately was like pushed into the world in Detroit. And just the mannerism, he managed to nail that as well, and just he did a fantastic job. And this story has like Constantine vibes all over it, so I hope that Damascus will maybe expand this story out a little bit more, maybe into a novella or something, because this was interesting, really interesting. Another story that I feel that Damascus should expand based on this short story collection is the Theseus Damned. So like I said, this story has a lot of different things. It has werewolves, it has vampires, it has demons, you know, it has all this shit. And then suddenly he decided, why not add a Minotaur into it? I'm like, okay, that's interesting, but it's so damn good. That story is so good. It's like this guy, like this rich guy, he has this like super obsession with Theseus and the labyrinth involving the Minotaur, that he actually constructs a huge ass labyrinth by himself, managed to capture a Minotaur for some weird ass reason, and, you know, places 7 people, like 7 women and 7 men, just like in the Greek legend, into the labyrinth, and he just, you know, sits in his office, like, sipping wine, and just watches them try to get out of the labyrinth, you know. And it's such a good idea, and he mentioned in his author's note that he was thinking of maybe expanding it into a novel, and I'm like, Damascus, yes! It would be amazing, like because, you know, there's 7 characters in like 14 characters actually, plus 15 with the guy who, you know, put them in there. You know, writing in from each person's perspective, which would be really good. So yes, I want that story. Get on it. Now. Sorry, got a little ahead of myself. Another thing that also I noticed, like these stories are like heavily horror, and they also, like I said, with the Bruce and Stu story, they are centered around comedy as well. And then suddenly he decided to add, like right in the middle, basically, a story called Aladdin's Laugh, and it had no horror at all. It's basically just a guy, an older guy who finds a genie lamp just by coincidence, and instead of being like, yes, super excited about getting 3 wishes, he's like, fuck, I have everything I need, I don't need you. And just the story revolves around the genie just constantly bickering him and like, so wouldn't you like this, wouldn't you like that, it would be so interesting, please get me out of this misery. And it's so funny, and it was like, I don't know, how should I would probably say it's a really good palate cleanser. I mean, you've gone to a lot of stuff, like especially after writing Midnight's Racer. That was some heavy shit, and it was dark, like really dark. So reading Aladdin's Laugh really, you know, made me feel better, and it made me laugh, and I definitely appreciated him putting this story in there right in the middle, especially after that one. One also, I have a lot of favorites in the story. I mean, I'm serious, this collection is gold. It's so good. One that I also really liked, and it's just so fucking original. I'm like, damn man, why didn't I think of that? It's called Soil, Native and Otherwise. So basically it's about this guy, just college dude who's getting like a summer job, you know, just picking up some extra money, and he works at this place, like this company that is, you know, shipping out dirt, like from all over the world, like, and his job is just, you know, to scan the stuff, put it in the computer, and then so the shipping will be correct. And then suddenly he fucks up at one point. And he just thinks it's not a bad thing. But then suddenly his boss tells everyone that, you know, the one who was supposed to have that shipment died. And they were like, wait, what? And, you know, the dude gets super panicked, and he tried to cover it up and everything. And of course, you know, the company finds out. And it turns out that the dirt is meant for vampires. Because, you know, according to some vampire lore, they need to lie down in their native soil. If they don't, they can't get any sleep, or they can't hibernate, or some shit like that. And I thought it was so original. Like, yeah, I mean, it would be really hard for a vampire, you know, to drag his dirt around. So why not have like a company do that? You know, so it fits the criteria. It doesn't, it doesn't raise any suspicion or anything like that. And it was so original, and I'm like, damn, that was a really good story. I highly enjoyed that one. Like I said, it has a lot of great stuff. The third last story was called "The Tenderness of Thorns," and I remember I beta read that before Damascus, I think, submitted it to an anthology, and I really enjoyed that one as well. I mean, it's basically revenge torture porn, but the ending was so fucking bleak that I told him, like, straight up to him, like, the story is awesome, but man, you made me feel bad about reading the ending. I felt a little like I needed to wash myself or something. It was just really bleak, really dark. But, you know, some stories are like that, and I really enjoy those stories. Like, I like the ones that have, like, open endings. I like the ones that, you know, end really bad, you know, for the character. I mean, that's one of my best things. I love seeing, you know, the bad guys, if you could call it that, win. And I also love getting also this kind of revenge, or, you know, you like, the guy who deserves it gets what he deserves. So I like these stories. And Damascus has all of those as well. So I'm not going to talk about all of the stories. Like, these are the ones that I mentioned that are my favorites. And I definitely recommend that you guys check out his novel. It's published, I think, It's published by Dead Man's Tome. But you can definitely find it on Amazon. And so yeah, I mean, definitely, if you are looking for a short story collection, this one might be, of course, like I mentioned, on the heavy like volume side. It's a little bit big, but every story is worth it in Damascus collection, definitely. And I give this one 4 out of 5. No, 4.5 out of 5. It's not, I rarely put like 5 stars out of 5. It's not, unless it blows my mind. But this one is highly recommended. You should just get on with it. He needs more love. Definitely, his stories are so worth it. They're so fun, and what else can I shower with praise about this? It's so good. You should just go get a copy, read it yourself, and then just tell me what you think. So this has been Fanged Pipsqueak Reads, giving you a review of Where the Last Light Dies, and I hope I can see you next time. Bye!